Hey there. The VQ1s are a whole lot of fun. That's what I always say. I love the VQ1s, and that's what one's about. I love. Step 1 in 11 Steps of Serious Joy is love. I love. And I always joke with my clients because they always say, but I love her or I love him. And I always say, well, that's awesome. That's step 1. There are 10 more steps to making it to serious joy. So love is extremely important. And when you are a 1VQ, love is so important. You love to love. You love to love so much that you don't even necessarily have to be in love with the person if it's bringing love. And that's one of the dangers of 1VQ. The secret to being a 1VQ is knowing the secret to being a 1VQ, which is that there's only one person that's number one, you, right? It's about being number one and putting yourself as number one. And this is the way God created it, really. We're all number one in our life. We're all the center of our universe. And you're looking for a love that puts you in the center of your universe. But the maturity mark of a 1VQ is that you have already put yourself in the center of your universe, that you are already the center of your world, that you're not looking for someone to show you you're number one. You know already. And you don't need the proof. In fact, you get it every day. When you stand in your power of 1VQ, you stand in knowing that you love yourself and loving yourself no matter what. And it's not something that ends up being a problem or difficult to do, because we're talking about love here and we're talking about enjoying ourselves. So loving yourself and enjoying yourself is necessary to mature as a 1VQ. The 1VQs tend to chase after a lot of fiery signs. So the 1VQs are always going after the 9s. The 1VQs are always going after the 3s. Basically, you add 1 to the equation and the important one. And normally, you chase after people who haven't learned to love themselves yet. And this is where, if you haven't reached the maturity mark of a 1VQ, you're going to be in trouble. Because if you do always tend to draw in other souls that are lost puppies or didn't know they were lovable and things like that. And it's fine for you to be there and light coach them and help them love themselves and show them why they're lovable. But if you also need that from them, see, that's going to be a problem. So the 1VQs have to be very careful because they tend to chase after fun people, dangerous and exciting people, and people that don't love themselves. And all of those can be kind of explosive if you're not aware as a 1VQ. Your focus is, of course, on love. You love to love. You love to be in love. You love to make love. And love is the currency of the universe, let's not forget. So one of the areas you have to be really clear on when you're in 1VQ is that love is so positive. How do we choose the best love? And my joke to my clients in readings is always, it's like choosing white from off-white from eggshell white. Love, love, love. It's like, it's all great. How do we say no to it? But one of the secrets to a 1VQ is you want to say yes to the greatest love and keep walking by the so-so love. And it almost sounds like a sin to say to walk by any love, but when you're in 1VQ, you're going for the greatest love. And if you're going for the greatest love, you've got to walk until you feel completely, what's the word I'm looking for, reflected. Until you love them as much as you love yourself, and of course, if you love yourself first. The emotional personality of a 1VQ is somewhat self-centered. So it's really, when you fall in love with a 1VQ, you have to enjoy them, and one of the secrets for yourself is allowing your lover to love themselves in front of you. So the immature 1VQs will kind of steal attention, but then the very mature 1VQs will be very gracious and very glamorous emotionally, very warm, very affectionate. The 1VQs need a lot of affection, need a lot of petting, need a lot of adoration as well. So the emotional personality is one of maybe like a cat, very, very elegant and graceful and sweet and benign, but the 1VQs can be really spoiled and obnoxious if they are not at their mature point. The defensiveness of a 1VQ is almost nothing, and that's one of the problems. 1VQs tend to love everything and not ever shut out anything, and so the 1VQs are very particularly bad at step 0. In fact, the 1s are so convinced they're number one, they think they're the first step, but really there's an invisible step before 1VQ, and that's 0VQ. And so the 1s do forget to protect themselves all the time, and as a result are usually not defensive enough. And then what happens is, When the 1VQ is offended, then the 1VQ can be overly defensive and go too far the other way in order to rectify the situation. The likeliness of a 1VQ to commit is extremely high. In fact, they tend to be overly committal and have to learn to maybe slow down. They love to love so much that if you're not in touch with what you love and why you love it, then you're going to find that that you're committing to the wrong things and going down the wrong paths, unfortunately. In bed, the 1VQs are extremely dynamic, of course, and really kind of willing to do anything. Basically, in the spirit of love, a 1VQ will try it twice, and maybe even then 4 more times. And I don't think you can really peg a 1VQ in bed anyway. If a 1VQ loves the person and they're into it, then they'll try it, and they'll usually like it, because love is really what they're into when it comes to sex. And if it's just physical when you're 1VQ, then your heart might be shut down. A 1VQ always adds 1 to the equation, so no matter who you're dating, they feel better to be with you, of course. It's also an interesting aspect, too, because it always brings love to the situation, amplifies the love. So it's really important that you're loving yourself. Now, if you have a 1 in the second placement of the VQ algorithm, or if 1 is the first number of your quotient, then loving yourself is extremely important always in love. In fact, you have to always almost think of yourself in a threesome. If you have a 1 in the quotient, that means that you're dealing with 10s. You're dealing with all the 10s. And if you have just a 1 and no other, 1 stands alone, then loving yourself is supreme, supreme, supreme. If the 1 is part of a 10, then loving yourself is necessary. So it's like almost if you were getting married and you had a 1 there, then in your vows you would want to say, you would want to actually vow to yourself and vow to the partner both, if you have a 1 in either of those places. Now, if you have a 1 on the very end of the algorithm, or I should say of the quotient, then a 1 at the very end means that loving yourself and feeling love is necessary in order to understand what you're connecting to. If you're not loving yourself right at that final moment of connecting to the partner, then you're not going to know if it's the right partner, because you need to love yourself and be present with yourself in order to know it's the right person. Because again, it's the white, eggshell white, and off-white. So having a 1 as the very last number means that right before you jump in, you think of yourself. Right before you get naked and have sex with someone, you think of yourself. Right before you do anything, you think of yourself. So 1 means we're number 1. Now, in the GA Venus network, when I am watching over you with Gaia and the software and writing the text messages, when I deal with the 1VQs is a lot of self-pampering ritual. I give you a lot of playbook assignments in order to look at yourself and go to church. Going to church is going to the mirror and worshiping yourself, and also give you a lot of tools to help you see why you're lovable and take inventory of why you're lovable. So if you allow me to watch over you in GA Venus, that's what we'll be doing, focusing on why you're fabulous and reinforcing it. Thanks for clicking.
So